As the emergency room people readied my mother to be airlifted from Chester to UC San Francisco Medical Center, she turned to me on the stretcher and said, "I guess you didn't turn out to be too bad a daughter. But I am disappointed in you for quitting your job. Think of all the brown kids you're letting down. Oh, and if I make it out of here alive, I want a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting. Don't skimp. I love you too, Mommy." We didn't know the details yet, but my mother had fallen down a flight of stairs and hit her head. Blood gathered into a ball in her head, but she had no recollection of it. My mother, the one who was never weak, literally the brains of our family, the one who has walked through the fires of death and destruction, the one who goes to bat for you, she was the one on the stretcher. Her hands covered her head, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen from her. My mother is usually the Virgo in charge of everything in its proper order. She details our cars and reminds us of when they need to be serviced. Her garage looks like it was set up for a nuclear apocalypse. My mother scrims and saves and bails us out of our stupidity. But she could not be the matriarch right now. She had to abdicate. I thought I had at least 20 years till I reached this point, like most Californian Gen Xers, and I admit to a certain amount of arrested development. As 70s kids, we grew up too fast and then decided to catch up on childhood somewhere in the middle. I'm doing okay. I have a husband, 2 kids, 2 careers, 2 cats, and 2 aging mothers. What happens when a daughter who isn't cut out for matriarchy suddenly has to become a matriarch? I called my brother, "Get out here!" And with that, he made arrangements to fly across the continent. I called my stepsister, "Get up here now." And with that, she made plans to drive up from the Bay Area to be with her mother. Wow, I thought, I can do this. Then on the drive home, I called my other mother. She was considerably scared that night and unable to comprehend the entirety of the situation. My mother was on the verge of retiring to take care of her full time. But what happens when the caretaker suddenly needs care? "Mom's being airlifted to San Francisco," I said, and she cried and I cried, and she was angry at me for not letting her speak to her directly. She didn't understand that we were in life or death mode. UCSF has brain specialists. People from all over the West go there for care. We want the best people working for her. But I won't be able to visit. We're married. What if they treat me like I'm just a friend? Why don't they put our calls through? They didn't airlift her to Alabama, for Christ's sake. They airlifted her to San Francisco. Her brain is hurting. And talking on the phone is probably not an option. She cried again, and I cried again, and I felt like the worst person in the world. Second job as a matriarch, total bust. That I wasn't cut out to be a caretaker is no strange phenomenon. When we were sick as kids, my mother used to hand us a bowl to throw up in, a cup of water to drink, and a baby Tylenol and say, "Only wake me if you see blood." Can I help it if I too have no bedside manner? Over the next 48 hours, I made calls to my mother's job, bought groceries for 2 households, ran errands, read up on medical powers of attorney, and then panic set in. What if I have to figure out bills and taxes when the cars need to be taken in for invisible repairs? What if my duties have to go beyond cooking and cleaning and taking people to appointments? What if I have to butt into everyone's personal life and be kind and gentle, but move everyone forward on their path in a 7-generation sort of way? I wanted to dance my ass off while drinking martinis on an island far, far away. Daughter? What daughter? I'm no one's daughter. Nope. On the 3rd day of matriarchy, I picked up my daughter from school looking haggard and overwhelmed. I thought of how my mother never runs out of anything. I have no such forward-thinking skills. My emergency chocolate in my purse was just an empty wrapper. Damn it, I can't even stress eat correctly. My daughter sensed my angst from the passenger seat and pulled some chocolate out of nowhere. She tapped my hand and said, "Mom, you aren't the next matriarch. You're just the interim. I'm the next one." I looked at this cocky 10-year-old with a raised, incredulous eyebrow. Grandma has been giving me lessons. She's taught me how to do everything. Money, changing filters, where everything is kept, where the safe deposit key is. I can do everything, Mom, and know when to do it and how to do it. This just isn't your thing. Grandma and I are better at this. At first, I was a little indignant. Aren't I the natural successor? How did this gene pass right by me to her instead? When my mother felt better, she confessed that indeed she had been consciously giving Paloma matriarch lessons behind my back, and hadn't once thought that I should be trained. "You're too much of an artist," she said. "It's just not who you are. You're good cook, though." It's been 9 months since she fell. My mother is back commanding authority over all our extended households. My daughter is happily in training and with hands poised to catch the matriarchal hot potato. And I'm happy just to touch it this once and pass it on.